A sheriff's deputy watched in stunned silence as a ruthless crime boss smiled while a father and his little daughter were thrown out of their own home in broad daylight. The garage that had taken 15 years of sweat to build was seized with forged papers. Corrupt officials looked the other way, and the man who had once risked his life for his country stood powerless with nothing but a faded backpack, a toolbox, and his daughter's trembling hand. Everyone believed they had witnessed the end of an ordinary mechanic. They had no idea they had just made an enemy of a former Special Forces soldier who never forgot a mission. Or a promise that if you believe kindness is stronger than hatred, forgiveness is stronger than revenge, and hope can change even the darkest future. Please like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone you care about, and subscribe to our channel to become part of our growing community. Graham Mercer had never expected life to become harder after leaving military service. During 12 years in Special Forces, he had survived impossible missions, freezing mountains, deserts, and hostile territory. Yet nothing prepared him for losing his wife to illness only months after retirement. Left to raise his 6-year-old daughter, Nora, alone, Graham poured every dollar of his savings into a modest repair garage outside a quiet American town. The garage became more than a business. It became the place where he healed. Every repaired engine reminded him that broken things could work again. Every customer who returned with gratitude gave his daughter another reason to smile. People respected Graham because he never cheated anyone. If a struggling family couldn't afford repairs, he quietly reduced the bill. If an elderly customer needed transportation, he fixed the car first and accepted payment whenever they could manage it. His reputation spread throughout the county, but so did the attention of a powerful criminal businessman named Preston Hale. Preston appeared respectable on the surface. He wore expensive suits, donated to local charities, and smiled for newspaper cameras. Hidden beneath that polished image was a criminal empire built on intimidation, money laundering, fraudulent property deals, and corruption. Preston wanted Graham's land because it bordered a highway where he planned to build a massive commercial complex. Graham refused every offer. The garage held memories of his late wife and represented the future he wanted for Nora. Some things simply could not be sold. Soon inspectors arrived almost weekly. Anonymous complaints appeared. Utility services were mysteriously interrupted. Banks suddenly questioned perfectly legal paperwork. Graham fought every challenge honestly, believing truth would eventually prevail. It didn't. Forged documents appeared claiming Graham had defaulted on loans that never existed. Corrupt officials approved the seizure before he could properly defend himself. By the time honest investigators began asking questions, Preston's security men had already changed the locks. The image of Nora clutching her favorite stuffed rabbit while standing beside boxes on the sidewalk haunted everyone who witnessed it. Without enough money for lawyers, Graham sold nearly everything he owned except a battered toolbox and an old pickup truck. Rather than letting bitterness consume him, he took Nora and quietly disappeared. Most people assumed they would never hear from him again. 6 years passed. The little girl who once cried beside cardboard boxes became a confident 12-year-old with remarkable determination. Graham had worked across several states repairing heavy equipment, restoring vintage engines, assisting disaster recovery teams, and eventually joining elite private rescue organizations where his military expertise proved invaluable. Every difficult assignment increased his savings. Every honest day's work strengthened his reputation. Every paycheck brought him one step closer to returning home. He never trained Nora to seek revenge. Instead, he taught her patience. He taught her discipline. He taught her compassion. He reminded her that strength was measured by how people treated others when they finally gained power. While Graham rebuilt his life, Preston expanded his criminal empire. His wealth multiplied, but so did his arrogance. Honest business owners vanished from downtown, replaced by companies secretly controlled through shell corporations. Fear became more common than trust. Then, on a bright spring morning, a dusty pickup rolled quietly into town. Few recognized Graham. His beard carried streaks of gray now. His shoulders remained broad, but grief had been replaced by calm confidence. Nora stepped out beside him, taller, wiser, and carrying herself with quiet dignity. Neither announced they had returned. Instead, Graham rented a tiny warehouse several miles away and began repairing farm equipment again. Old customers slowly discovered he was back. Many cried when they saw him. Others apologized for being unable to help years earlier. Graham embraced every one of them without blame. Meanwhile, something unexpected happened. Federal financial investigators had quietly begun examining Preston's companies after suspicious banking reports surfaced in several neighboring states. They lacked one critical piece connecting dozens of fraudulent property transfers. Graham unknowingly possessed it. Years earlier, while cleaning his garage before being forced out, he had photographed every damaged document for insurance records. Those digital files had remained untouched inside an old external hard drive packed away with family belongings. While organizing storage boxes, Nora found the drive. The forgotten files revealed original ownership records, timestamps, signatures, and maintenance invoices that directly contradicted Preston's forged paperwork. For the first time in 6 years, Graham realized he could legally fight back. Rather than rushing into court, he quietly contacted honest investigators. They listened. Unlike years before, corruption had weakened. Several dishonest officials had already retired or faced unrelated criminal charges. New investigators welcomed evidence instead of burying it. For months Graham cooperated patiently, providing every document requested. His military discipline impressed everyone involved. He never exaggerated facts. Never guessed. Never sought publicity. The investigation widened, bank transfers emerged, witnesses gained courage, former employees admitted they had been threatened into signing false statements. One elderly accountant finally confessed that Preston had stolen dozens of properties using nearly identical methods. Everything began collapsing. Still, Graham focused on rebuilding rather than celebrating. His rented garage expanded into a respected repair shop employing veterans, single parents, recovering addicts, and young mechanics needing second chances. Customers noticed something unusual. No one left feeling judged. Everyone was treated with respect. The atmosphere reminded people of the old garage that had once served as the heart of the community. Nora started volunteering at local schools, encouraging children who had lost parents or experienced homelessness. She never hid her own past. Instead of speaking about pain with anger, she spoke about resilience. People listened because they knew her story was real. One sunny afternoon, federal agents finally arrived at Preston's headquarters. Employees watched as boxes of financial records were carried away, luxury vehicles disappeared under evidence tags, executives rushed through hallways in panic. For the first time in decades, Preston looked frightened. News spread rapidly across town. Many expected Graham to stand outside smiling. He didn't. He remained underneath the hood of an old pickup, helping a farmer finish repairs before harvest. When reporters asked why he seemed so calm, Graham simply explained that justice was doing its job and engines still needed fixing. Months later, court proceedings concluded, property fraud was proven, dozens of victims recovered stolen land. Graham's original garage legally returned to him. The building looked abandoned after years of neglect. Windows were cracked. Paint peeled from every wall. Rust-covered forgotten tools scattered across dusty workbenches. Nora stood quietly beside her father as they unlocked the front door together. Neither rushed inside, both simply smiled through tears. They remembered birthdays celebrated there, homework completed in the office, their mother's framed photograph that had once rested above the workbench. Most memories had survived even if the building had not. Restoration began immediately. Former customers volunteered weekends, retired mechanics donated equipment, construction workers offered discounted labor, children painted welcome signs, veterans installed new lifts. The entire community slowly rebuilt what greed had once destroyed. During renovations, Graham discovered something hidden beneath loose floorboards. It was a tiny wooden box containing the wedding ring he believed had disappeared during the eviction years earlier. His late wife had hidden it there as an emergency keepsake long before illness claimed her life. Holding the ring in his weathered hands reminded him that love sometimes waits patiently beneath life's broken floors until someone is ready to find it again. The grand reopening attracted hundreds of families. Instead of hosting an expensive celebration, Graham announced that every repair completed during opening week would help fund scholarships for children of fallen first responders and military families. The gesture inspired neighboring businesses to contribute. Kindness spread faster than fear ever had. Not long afterward, Graham received an unexpected letter. It came from Preston. Gone were the expensive stationery and confident signatures. The letter contained no excuses, only regret. Prison had stripped away his pride. He admitted that stealing the garage had begun a chain of decisions that eventually destroyed his own family relationships. He asked for forgiveness without expecting a reply. Graham read the letter several times, then he quietly folded it and placed it inside a drawer that he chose not to answer with hatred. Neither did he pretend the past never happened, that he simply forgave enough to free his own heart from carrying unnecessary weight. Nora watched her father carefully. That single decision taught her more about true strength than every military story she had ever heard. Years later, the Mercer garage became famous not because it repaired vehicles better than anyone else, but because it repaired hope. Young apprentices found careers, struggling families found honesty, lonely veterans found friendship, children found encouragement. Every engine leaving the shop carried a reminder that people, like machines, often deserve another chance before being thrown away. Before we reach the end of this journey, take a moment to leave a meaningful comment sharing what touched your heart most. Do you believe forgiveness makes a person stronger, or do you think justice alone is enough? Your thoughts may encourage someone reading the comments today. As the afternoon sun shined warmly across the freshly restored garage, Graham watched Nora welcome another customer with the same gentle smile her mother once wore. In that peaceful moment he finally understood that Preston had never truly stolen his future. He had only delayed it. A home could be taken. A building could be seized. Money could disappear. But integrity, love, courage, and hope belonged to those who refused to surrender them. The father who once walked away carrying only a toolbox in his daughter's hand had returned not as a man seeking revenge, but as someone who proved that patience, perseverance, and compassion could outlast greed. His greatest victory was never reclaiming a garage. It was raising a daughter whose heart remained kind despite every reason to become bitter. And that was a triumph no crime boss could ever steal. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, leave a meaningful comment, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to our channel so you never miss another emotional journey. May this story remind you that even after life's greatest losses, hope has a remarkable way of finding its road back home.